I'm Michael Amir, and this is Verified. The Mueller report. If you've been watching any kind of news this past week, you heard about Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report on whether or not Russia interfered with the 2016 presidential election. No major surprises in the report. We already knew Trump's a liar. It did, however, confirm that Russia did interfere with the election. According to the report, they used emails and social media accounts to spread propaganda. Their hope was to help Trump and hurt the campaign of Hillary Clinton. Many government officials are upset at this. But I'm sorry, I'm here to say they have no right to be upset. Don't get me wrong, you, the taxpaying voter, you have a right to be upset. It's your right to vote. And the fact that another country can manipulate the system that we fought and died for is frustrating. I understand that. But America, her governing body, the officials, have absolutely no right to be upset. This is the bed she made and she has to lay in it. They're upset because they didn't think that what they do to other countries could happen to them. In fact, the United States of America has a long history of interfering in the elections and affairs of governments across the globe. Using the technology of the NSA, the CIA, and the FBI, the American government is the universal snooper and has destabilized foreign governments for decades. Whether through paramilitary actions, propaganda campaigns, or other kinds of deceptions, these covert operations are all designed to benefit US-based multinational corporations seeking to control resources within those countries. America's been responsible for not only backing puppet governments through sham elections, but sponsoring actual assassinations. If a country is meddling in the affairs of another country, it is because they are following America's playbook. Most recently, we've seen these destabilization efforts at work during the so-called Arab Spring. You know, all the riots and protests that cracked off in the Middle East during late 2010? The Arab Spring is not what you think. These were not spontaneous protests by those clamoring for democracy. The hidden hand was at work. In Egypt, President Hosni Mubarak was ousted, arrested, charged, government overthrown. In Libya, the great leader Muammar Gaddafi was killed, government overthrown, and the nation descended into hellish civil war. Hasn't been the same since. In Syria, President Bashar al-Assad faced civil uprisings, and America armed their rebellions. Going back decades in the past, you'll find the same elements at work. Chile, 1970 to 1973. Cuba, assassination attempts and unjust sanctions against Cuban leader Fidel Castro. In 1980, mercenary coup in Grenada. Nicaragua, 1980 to 1984. Jamaica, 1980. And in the Republic of Congo, the assassination of Patrice Lumumba. Also followed by the CIA and American governmental officials delivering aid and weapons to rebel groups fighting against former Soviet Union. One of those rebel fighters they supplied with weapons turned out to be Osama bin Laden. Bin Laden later became America's public enemy #1. And the US still delivers aid annually to Israel so they can continue their qualitative and quantitative military dominance over the Palestinian people and other Arab nations in the region. Most of us know very little about America's foreign policy, and therefore we know very little about operations conducted around the globe in our name and using our tax dollars. Leaders of sovereign nations must know by now that America promises only to deceive. These aren't conspiracy theories. These are documented facts. And it's not even hidden documented facts. These are facts you could just Google. You know, there's an old saying, if you want to hide something from a nigga, put it in a book. And you know, my timeline right now is popping with Nipsey Hussle, and I love it, man. I'm learning so much more about my brother, man, and he was special, bro. I mean, he read and recommended books. So I'm gonna honor my brother. I'm gonna read him more, but I'm also gonna recommend a book to you right now. Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Now consider these words from the author, John Perkins. The US is a mythocracy where the puppets in apparent leadership roles dance to the whims of the real rulers of this country, the corporatocracy. He continues, economic hitmen are highly paid professionals who cheat countries around the globe out of trillions of dollars. Their tools include fraudulent financial reports, rigged elections, payoffs, extortion, sex, and murder. Sound familiar? So read that book. But it's not just overseas. The American government applies the same strategy to groups and organizations in its own country. Look up the COINTELPRO. Many of our great leaders of our community were assassinated and organizations dismantled by our own government. Welcome to America. But just because our government is corrupt, we shouldn't lose hope. Nothing is wrong with voting in the presidential election. If that's what you choose to do, it's your right. But I encourage you to also look locally, vote locally, get more involved in your community, start making changes locally. Let's follow the example our brother Nipsey Hussle laid out, and let's make our own communities a decent place to live. And it all starts with our unity. The government's been able to wild out because we're divided and we don't know what's going on. There's strength in our unity. Once we realize that and use that, we can start holding the government accountable for its own actions. Until next time, I'm Michael Amir, and this is Verified.